Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we have another brand new Mattel Jurassic World figure. This time we have the very first of the new round of Wild Roars that we will be taking a look at here over the next week or so on my channel. But we have the Regaliceratops, and this is a really cool looking figure. Honestly, in hand, it is so much better than I expected it to be. I was really quite blown away when I had pulled this out of the packaging and taken a look at it. It's super impressive. But as far as the packaging goes, you can see it's pretty much your standard when it comes to the Dino Trackers line. Not really a whole lot going on, but I do of course love again that they show the kind of habitat there in the background where you would find this as far as Jurassic World lore goes. And then here on the back of the box, you can see a nice shot of the Regaliceratops as well as the other figures that are in this line, as we have the Nigersaurus, the Orcoraptor, and the Irritator as well, which is pretty cool to have a different style Irritator coming out at the same time that we just got a Hammond Collection version. But it looks really cool, so let's pop it out of the box and check it out. So here is our Regaliceratops, and it again looks really good. I think it has probably some of the nicest paint apps that we've seen on a mainline release in quite some time. It looks really cool to have so much color leading out, and even a little more here on the thigh, and of course quite a bit of coloration going on in the face. A lot of the time when you get the mainline figures, they almost look half painted at times, whereas this one, I think, for the most part, has a pretty much fully painted appearance to it outside of the nails. But it looks really cool, again, for a Ceratopsian in the Mattel line. It looks pretty much like you would expect when it comes to kind of having a little bit of a stylized look for a Jurassic World figure, but absolutely gorgeous in my opinion. So let's jump to a closer look at it right now. So starting up here at the head sculpt of our Regaliceratops, you can see again it looks really nice when it comes to the skin texture. I just wanted to get nice and close for you guys to really observe how good that skin texture looks on this figure. It looks honestly amazing for a Mattel figure, which they always have great detail, but I feel like they've amped it up even more for this figure. That is very impressive. You can see the nostrils sculpted out there, a few kind of skin wrinkles right there, and then as you lead up, you can see that the skin texture kind of changes a little bit as far as the way the scale detail looks, and you can see even more variation of the scale detail as you move through the course of that frill. But you can see we have a very dark greenish tone here that kind of borders around the eye, leads down here under the eye, also splotches in a few different areas, and also overtakes the horns on the face. So you have, again, the horns kind of looking like they're fully painted, which is nice. We've also got a really nicely painted eye with a black pupil and a nice gloss coat, which is also a huge plus. You can see the beak sports some really nice, again, fine detail. I feel like a dark wash would amp up the detail of that very nicely. This would be a very good figure as far as a repaint candidate goes. You can see that there is a tongue there on the inside of the mouth, but of course you can't articulate the jaw or anything, and you also can't really see the tongue too well. There is no coloration or paintwork for the tongue, it's just the yellow coloration. And I also would say that there's no coloration for the beak, but we do kind of have a speckling, which you can see. Again, the beak is the same tone of color as the body, but it is nice to see a little bit of a speckling going on for extra color. I will say the beak also has kind of a satin shine to it, so it does sort of look like it has some difference to it. But as you lead up and you again get these spikes that lead around the frill, they've all been given a nice little run over or once over with some browns, and they kind of have just like a really smooth airbrushing of that brown, and you can see every single one of them has been hit with that color, so it has the entire frill having that nice coloration all the way around it, which I think is absolutely excellent. You can also see that we have a lighter tone, kind of like a gray, or maybe a variation of a blue, but you can also see that we have kind of like a creamy color around that, and that kind of just like designs up here in the frill, again adding even more color to this beautiful Ceratopsian figure, again giving it a little bit of flashiness up there in the frill, and again more of those speckles kind of making an appearance. But as you lead down here into the neck, you can see some nice skin wrinkles. You can also see again kind of a larger rough and rugged style of skin texture as you lead back here, and you can also see the throat down here on the underside is sculpted pretty nicely. As we lead up here, you get a look at the back of the frill kind of. You can see some nice looking very fine scale detail back there, and you can see the spikes even on the back of the frill are nicely painted. As you lead up here into the body, you can see we begin to pick up osteoderms and stuff, as well as again that very rough and rugged looking scaling, even larger osteoderms in certain spots. Then you also have this really dark tone of color just kind of blending within this green. So we have a really nice area of numerous variations of color, which looks really cool. You can see that we have a button up here, of course, to activate the action feature. You can also see as we move along that we have quills on the back of this one, which is something that you often see on ceratopsians nowadays, but not something that we've really seen in the Mattel line before, which again I think is something that makes this figure look incredibly striking and incredibly cool. Definitely a big fan of that area of the figure. The quills are kind of flexible as well, so that's pretty nice. But as you lead down into the front leg, you can see some nice muscle definition. Very strong looking front leg. You can see more osteoderms. The elbow is nicely highlighted there. You can also see again some really vibrant scale detail moving down the leg into the foot sculpt. No painted nails, but it does have kind of a shine for the nails, so it almost insinuates nail paint. More of those speckles are present down there, as well as some creasing in the wrist. As you move back up into the stomach region, it just has the visual of being a very heavy dinosaur, kind of bulky in the belly, that's for sure. You can see more skin wrinkles there, kind of make out the rib cage, I think, right there a little bit. And again, the scale detail looks fantastic. I love how this variation of color, it's almost hard to tell. It looks like a really dark purplish tone sort of leaks down into the side. That looks really neat. We have more of that dark tone here in the thigh, again, just sporadically showing up there, kind of splotching around. You can also see again some more osteoderms and some fantastic scale detail that, like I said earlier, for this figure would be a really good candidate for a repaint or even just a dark wash to really highlight how impressive that is. But you can also see again the nice muscle definition of both the thigh and calf moving down. Very, very big bulging calf muscle. And again, some creasing in the ankle as well as the toes sculpted out. And yet again, the nails have that kind of shine, but no actual paintwork to them. You can see tons of speckles, though, on the feet. And then as you lead out the length of the tail, the scale detail continues to look really nice. I wonder if we can... Oh, look at that! We can actually swivel the tail. So it's not really much in the way of articulation, but I didn't even realize that was there. So you can swivel the tail. That's pretty cool. I was wrong about the lack of articulation. And you can also see again that we have a nice, turn in the tail as you lead out. You're not going to see too much difference over here. You can see the head sculpt again looks great though. Really nicely painted eye. And then as you lead back, the only real difference is the positioning of the legs. You can see the legs are held closer together here, kind of giving it that sort of walking movement more so than what we saw on the initial side. But that is an absolutely awesome figure. I'm really psyched about this one. This was one that I was actually probably the least excited about, but having it here, it is absolutely awesome. Now, as far as articulation and the action feature goes, we have the articulation in the neck, but I'm a little bit worried about moving it because I think that might activate the sound aspect of the figure. So we'll just skip that for right now. But for the articulation of the legs, you can go forward and back really quite nicely. You can definitely get some good movement in the legs. You can also go out away from the body, which is something you used to not be able to do when it comes to ceratopsians. You also have articulation here in the hip region, as well as, again, out away from the body quite nicely. And then the swivel tail, which I didn't even realize earlier was a thing. But you also have an action feature button up here, so we'll go ahead and check that out. Okay, so I wanted to see what the action feature itself did, then we'll check out the noises. But as you can see, it's actually pretty cool, because as you turn this, you pull it one way, it tilts the head, but it also pulls the head in, so then when you let it go, it extends the head like it's kind of attacking. So let's do it again. The noises are going to be jumbled again, which I don't like, but let's go ahead and do that. That's a pretty cool action feature, I'm not going to lie to you guys. But as far as the noises go, that almost sounded like an Indominus Rex noise. That was definitely some sort of a herbivore noise. More kind of Indominus Rex noises. It kind of sounds like it's me anyway. So you've got a few cool noises, sounded like maybe 4 in there. Definitely pretty cool as far as the noises go, even if some of them do sound a little Indominus-ish. But as far as a size goes, I don't know if we should go from the horn or the beak. I guess we'll go from the beak. You're looking at about 10 3/4 inches or around 27.5 centimeters. And then for a height to the top of the horns there on the frill, about 5 1/4 inches or right around 13.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line next to our Regaliceratops, the Wild Roar Regaliceratops. And you can see it's pretty much as you would expect it to be size-wise, especially considering it is a Wild Roar figure, so it's right there in the same size range as the Roarivores, the Roar Attacks, all of those type of figures. They're always that same similar size. To further show you that, here is Bumpy the Ankylosaurus, again from the Camp Cretaceous line, showing you that it is right there in that same similar size range as what you would normally get for the Wild Roar assortment. And I think this would probably be our final comparison, because as you can see, we have it compared to a Roarivore version of the Triceratops, and you can clearly see they are pretty much the same size, maybe slightly larger with the Regaliceratops, but not far enough to make like a drastic difference. So this brand new Mattel Jurassic World Dino Trackers Wild Roar Regaliceratops is super cool. It's a very unique looking ceratopsian they've created here, and I love having new ceratopsians in the Mattel line. There are still so many that they could create. We have had quite a lot so far, but there's still just a ton more that they haven't touched yet, and Mattel loves to grab all kinds of obscure dinosaurs and pull them into the main line of Mattel's Jurassic World line, so who knows what we'll see in the future, but this is a really cool addition to the line. Definitely love this one as far as the sculpt goes. It might be the best looking detailed sculpt of a ceratopsian so far. Like, there is just so much incredible detail on this one. Really, again, threw me for a loop when I first pulled it out of the box. I was quite blown away by it. On top of that, we have some really nice paint apps on this one. Like, I'm a huge fan of the paint apps of this, even with the dinosaur being a yellowish coloration, which may not be the most realistic color for a dinosaur, for a ceratopsian. I think it looks really good. The colors all play off of each other very nicely, and the dinosaur primarily, I would say, has a fully painted look to it. And the color leading out into the tail a ways is definitely a big help when it comes to giving this a nice look. And also the fact that we have the horns around the frill painted and, you know, just so much color in the face. It's just really, really nice looking. On top of that, you have some pretty fun articulation. Not a whole lot going on here, but some articulation, and it works very nicely, very smoothly. And then a really cool action feature as well, which is always fun, and definitely a different action feature than we've ever seen on a ceratopsian before, so it is pretty cool to have a new kind of fresh action feature for one of these figures. And of course we have quills on the back, and that's pretty cool as well. So as a whole, definitely a really, really nice figure. I will include a link in the description to where I bought mine from Amazon, so make sure you check that link. If it's not in stock right now, add it to your wish list, and then keep checking it. It should come into stock at some point very soon. And make sure you also like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.